Hey everyone, it's Nick with Us versus Herd. Thank you for joining for the very first UvH Kickstart challenge. If you don't know who I am, I know some of you do, some of you don't know who I am, but I've been running Us versus Herd for 4 years now. Us versus Herd just turned 4, and I'm excited to be here. Hope you're excited to be here. I'm going to be covering a lot of things. I'm going to do a brief intro on what we're going to be covering. Going to go through a lot of good stuff. If you're here right now, leave a comment below, smash the like. I see Matt, Jeff, Greg, Keith, Sandy, Miguel, Joe, Roger, Nicholas Fisher. How you doing? So we're gonna get to work. This week is going to be hopefully motivational. Hopefully you learn a few things, whether you've been trading a month, 5 years, a day, or you haven't even started yet. So definitely glad you registered. Glad you're all here on time. 4 p.m. Eastern time. We're going to be doing this every day. The sessions are going to be about an hour, and we're going to do a live Q&A afterwards for the people that have questions. Afterwards, we'll do a live Q&A after the live stream. So, without further ado here. So, let me get over to Anish. What's going on, Hank? How we doing? Okay, so today we're going to be covering, what's your why, and the reason why we're starting here is because you have to understand, where you're at as what your mentality is before you actually start to trade. So that's why we're going to cover that today. We're going to go into options basics tomorrow. Day 2, session 2 is going to be covering options basics. Session 3, we're going to go through some charting, go through some basic indicators, kind of look at for support resistance. We're going to do an intro to advanced options strategies on day 4, session 4. So what this is going to be multi-leg options, iron condors, that kind of thing. Then for day 5, we're going to be kind of bringing everything together. Hopefully you have your plan together through the last 4 days. Get the plan together, and then we're going to, like the challenge is kick-starting you to actually start trading, and on your way to profitability. So that's what we're covering. I mean, that's what we're here for. Us versus Herd. Like I said, we've been around for four years now, and the goal for Us versus Herd really isn't to be a get rich quick scheme. Never in the history of Us versus Herd we say, join now, you only have to learn one strategy and you'll be millionaire tomorrow. And I think that doing this right now is definitely interesting because, as you guys saw with crypto, as you saw with GameStop, AMC, Wall Street Bets, I mean, that's what people want to do right now. They want to get rich quick. They want to not work. They don't want to actually put in the work to get the knowledge. But here, Us versus Herd, we're wanting to put the work in. We want to actually do the work. We want to, make the profits, but we don't want to just get rich quick. We want it to be repetitive. And that's what this is about. This is what Us versus Herd is about. And that's why we're called Us versus Herd. Not that we trade against the herd, but we understand when there is, a bunch of euphoria in the market, that's what the herd is doing. I'm going to show you some stuff here, but back in January, things got really lit. I mean, we saw stocks flying, penny stocks go way up, and it was just insane. But as you guys are probably aware, I mean, probably because you're here right now, is retail trading volume doubled since last year. As you can see right in here, 2020, 2021, we were relatively like in this area, just pretty much flat. 2017, 2018, 2019 was pretty much just business as usual. And then the pandemic hit, and we see, big influx of traders coming in to actually learn how to trade, because we're sitting at home, we're wondering what to do. There's a pandemic, people are laid off, we don't have any money, we don't really know what is going to go on. And then obviously the real winners in this whole scenario was let me get to the next slide here, was the brokerages. Charles Schwab, E-Trade, Interactive Broker of TD Ameritrade. I mean, as you can see here, just people trading everything right now. I mean, this thing went from and this is the daily average trades by every major brokerage. And this thing was just, I mean, obviously TD Ameritrade, just so you guys are aware, TD Ameritrade and Charles Schwab are one company now. So even though you can see here, Charles Schwab had a little dip, it's still winning with TD Ameritrade, still pushing it forward. And as you can see here, this line right here, this gray line going down the middle, is brokerage go to zero commissions, or they start offering zero commissions on stock purchases, or they also lowered their options commission. So it lowered the bar, because back in the day, there used to be a time where it was like with TD Ameritrade, to buy one contract of an options contract cost like $15-$20, and sometimes it was higher than that. So it's like, how can you be successful when you're trading or making a small amount of money, or you're trading one contract, let's say like on SPY or Apple, and it costs you $30 just to go to the brokerage? So then that puts a lot of strain on what percentage you actually need to make out of that trade. Like if you bought one contract for $100 and it costs you $30 round trip, you have to make more than 30% on that trade to actually for it to actually be profitable. And then Robinhood has been explosive over the last few years, because I mean it's what's changed the game for mostly everybody. 2015, 2016, 2017. I mean, it's pretty much doubling or tripling every single year here. And this is the total number of Robinhood transactions. This is how many people or how many transactions have gone through. So 2020, I know it's cut off by my video here, 2020 was 350 billion and 2019 was 150 billion. So if you're trading on Robinhood, say what up in the chat. We're going to go through this scenario, through this Kickstart challenge, you know, what brokerages are good, which ones are not so good, and what tools we have later on. But I want to start off with, you know, what is your why? Why are you doing this? Why are you trading? And I found that for me, you know, and especially when you're starting a business or anything, it's not enough for you to actually, you know, it's not enough for you to actually just want to trade. Because when trading gets hard, that is when, you know, things are going to get difficult. When trading gets hard, you're going to want to quit. There's been a lot of people in the US First Herd community, and as you've seen by the amount of influx of traders, and then people not being interested in trading has been ginormous, right? So like January, February, people were really into trading because trading was easy. We were going straight up. The market was just going straight up in January, February, and then March happened, April and May, and people are like, I don't understand why I'm not making any money. I don't understand, the strategy that I was using isn't working anymore. I don't understand, I was green every week and now I am red every week. I don't understand what's going on. So that's why, you know, for me, I concentrate on like, what's your why? Why are you doing this? And when I first started Us Versus Herd, I said, you know, I don't want to make people rich. I don't want to do that. I want, like, for me, if it's good enough for me, if you're like a single mom and you just make an extra $20 a week and that changes your life in some sort of way, that's what I want to do. If you just say, okay, I just need, if I had $100 extra a week, that's $400 a month, that's a car payment or whatever, you know, that's groceries. If that eases the burden off your life, then that's worth it for me. And that's why I started being more public with my trades, where I do, and kind of documenting everything that I go through, you know, right now. But my story began, I didn't come from a family that taught me how to trade. I didn't come from a background that of financial or anything. My parents taught me really nothing about the stock market, the options trading market. But the one thing that I did know was that I wanted to be an entrepreneur. Like from a very young age, I was selling anything that I could, baseball cards, back in the day, Pokemon cards. But the one thing that really hit it for me was Beanie Babies. When Beanie Babies came out, and this was right when the internet started to get poppin'. eBay wasn't even a thing. Yeah, I was selling Beanie Babies off of some, like, I don't even remember what the site was, but it was an auction website like eBay, but it wasn't eBay. It was some off-brand. It was some off-brand site. And when I started out, I started understanding the importance of income, building income. And for me, it was a hobby. Like selling Beanie Babies when I was a kid, that was a hobby. And some of those were going, I would pay $25 to some kid in the neighborhood, sell it for $500, sell it for $1,000 online to some stranger. And I thought this was the greatest thing ever. I could buy something, sell it to somebody that's like in California or Wisconsin or wherever they are, and they're interested in my product. And it got to the point where I was really busy, and then obviously you get older, right? You get older and you start understanding things, and you go to work. And this is a little bit of an embarrassing photo right now, but this was me. I was probably about, I want to say 20 or so, and in this photo is a picture of me after my shift at Starbucks. I used to work at Starbucks. I also used to be a server, a waiter, and I basically, I was hardworking. I was going to work. I was going to school part-time to become a chef, and what I was looking for was trying to figure out, what did I want to do? What am I good at? Because school for me was one thing, and I didn't really like going to school. I slept through a lot of classes. It's not that I didn't like doing the work, right? It's not that I didn't like doing the work, but like for me, school was very formal, and I didn't really like the idea, like the herd mentality, where you would, go to school, go to college, and you would land your dream job, right? And what we did when I was working, 80 to 100 hours a week in the restaurant industry, I found that, I could only make so much money. Like when you're doing it for hourly pay, when you're working for hourly pay, I mean, you're capped out. You only have 24 hours a day that you can make money. And for a majority of that, you're either on break. I mean, you're at work, 8 to 12 hours, right? Sometimes more. If you have multiple jobs, like I had multiple jobs. I mean, I was working at Starbucks. I was also working in the restaurant industry on the weekends and at night. I mean, I was burnt out, but I was like, at one point I thought, hey, if I did more time, I would be more successful. I mean, sure, I built up a lot of skills, built up a lot of relationships, had a great work ethic, but at the end of the day, you only have so many hours a day. I was like, you know what? I don't want to work every single day like this. I know this was like hard labor, especially like when you're a server in a restaurant on your feet all day, 12, 14 hours a day. I remember some days I would go to work and make $11 because no one came in, or it was snowing in the Chicago here, and it's like, oh man, glad you get to work today because no one's going to come into a restaurant when it's 8 feet of snow out, right? So, but where things really shifted for me what got me out of that mentality was the 2008-2009 recession. And I don't know if a lot of people weren't trading back then or alive back then, or well, you might be alive back then, but you weren't. You might have been in middle school or whatever. There's a lot of age ranges here. Let's just say that. But what I realized during the 2008-2009, and that's when I actually started my first business, was that there were a lot of people that were telling me growing up, like, oh yeah, you need to go get a job here, you need to do XYZ, you need to do this, you need to do that. And at the end of the day, you don't have to do what anybody says. Everyone has something that they think that will make them successful, or what they believe is successful. And some people are like, okay, if you have a good job, if you have this, if you have that, you'll be successful. But in reality, success depends on the person. Same goes to trading, right? But everyone has their own idea of success. And in the 2008-2009 recession, it was really sad. There were 50, 60-year-old men, women that worked their whole lives for a job or in a company that let them go. They're like, oh, sorry, that's it. And all of a sudden, what they thought was true was no longer true. The company didn't care about them. They sacrificed 30, maybe 20, maybe 40 years, maybe even more, and the company just let them go like that because they have a bottom line. Like, okay, it's either go out of business or let this guy go or this woman go. We don't know. Like that's the situation. And from there, from that learning experience, I decided, like, okay, to be successful, it's not what job you have. It's about developing multiple streams of income. And my why, and still is my why, is having multiple streams of income. I have other businesses outside of Us versus Herd, and I work towards multiple streams of income. While I'm working in one area, I'm still getting paid in another area, and that's multiple streams of income. And where things got interesting for me was when I started looking into the markets. I was like, okay, if I could start figuring this out, start educating myself, I can make money while I'm at a job or starting another business or doing something else. Or, it is definitely nice when I have some trades on and I woke up the next day and it's up 10%, 25%, whatever the case is. That is something that I wanted to strive for. So, okay, how can I figure this out? And my why for me was always the puzzles. Like, okay, how can I and my family be secure? And this happened in the pandemic. Is I'm glad that I built up the multiple streams of income, because when the pandemic hit, a lot of people were stressing, and I just sat back and said, okay, this was the moment I've been preparing for. This is the moment that I've been waiting for, and the reason why I've been building up these multiple streams of incomes. And now your why is totally different, right? Your why could be totally different. This is my why, but I definitely think you should take some notes and say, hey, what is the reason? Because when trading gets hard, you have to go back to that why. You have to go back and say, this is why I'm doing it. Otherwise, you're going to quit. Like everybody, if you just want to do this to get rich, you're going to quit and you're not going to come back to it. And that is what it is. I mean, that's the path for some people. But for me, I had to figure out, because I'm running the marathon, I'm playing the long game, and I wanted to figure this out so that way when times are hard, I don't have to stress. If I lost a big client, if somebody got hurt or sick, which all those things happen in my family, all those things happen. Like, life happens, accidents happen, death happens. You name it, floods happen. Recessions, pandemics. We've been through, I think, in our generation, quite a lot of stuff. The only thing is, I guess there was the war in the Middle East and stuff like that, but outside of a world war, we've experienced a lot of different things. And my why was just to circle back, is to add that stream of income, that if I for some reason get disabled and I'm in a car accident and I can't walk anymore, what can I do? I can still trade. I still can trade. I can still work and provide for my family. And that's what this was all about for me. And the reason why I started Us versus Herd was there wasn't really a voice in this space that I saw. Everyone was, as you guys saw with like the Raging Bull, now the SEC's cracking down on them, is, everyone, they're just preaching a get rich quick scheme model. But for me, it's just being consistent. Whether, some days are good, some days are great, some days are not so good, and some days are terrible in the market. And that's just like any day anywhere else at your job. If you ask anybody, how's your day? They're like, oh, today was great, or today was terrible, or blah, blah, blah. The only thing is, with the market, it impacts you because it's financial, right? And that is why when we have a bad day in the market, it's mostly because we lost money, or we just just had a bad day and fat fingered 100 options contracts instead of one, and you never know, right? So when you're having a good day in the market, you could, like, I remember back in January, it was like, okay, today's easy $1,000 day. There was times in January it was $1,000 plus day every day for like I don't even know, 10, 12 days straight, right? And you're like, man, I'm just racking in the register. And then there was times like in April and in early May where you're like, I don't know what's going on here. So you got to take a step back and you have to understand what's going on. Like, is it you? Is it the market? Obviously, when you are trading and you start trading poorly, it's definitely your fault because you're the one that's putting the trade on. Like, nobody else is putting the trade on for you. This is between you and the market. Like, when I put a trade on, it has nothing to do with you. When you put a trade on, it has nothing to do with me. Depends on what you want to do at the time. This is a competition between you and the market, and that's it. There's nobody else here that is going to be reaping the rewards of you having a good trade or a bad trade, right? And what I found out was you have to really focus on why you're doing this. I know that I'm stressing this and I'm probably beating you over the head over it. And before, you're like, I just came in here to teach options. I don't know why you're covering this, but in like what I've wanted to do with us first heard, and the thing that I've discovered is I could know all the fancy indicators about RSI. I could know about VWAP. I could know all this. I could know all about Delta, Vega, all these things, right? I know everything, right? You know what those things mean. But the one variable that people forget every time is themselves. You don't know. You don't know if you're, an angry person. I've discovered a lot about myself through trading than I have almost anything else. Like you start to expose yourself, and a lot of people that, if this is you, leave a comment below. Let me know what you think. If you start discovering things about yourself through trading, you're starting to get on the right track. Right? You're starting to understand, like, yeah, maybe it's not the market, maybe it's me. But the first thing that people start to blame is when you start trading poorly is, oh, well, the market did this, or, oh, that tweet did this to my position, or this did that, or that. No, you put the position on, you assume the risk. You have to understand that it's your fault when the trade goes against you. And also what people don't understand, what people leave out is when they say, when you put a trade on, obviously you expect a profit, but what they leave out, what they forget most of the time is, what's your exit strategy if this starts to go against you? And what happens to a lot of people when a trade starts going against them, they start getting angry, like, oh man, I just put the trade on, it starts going against me. I don't understand what is happening right now, and I'm just gonna hold on, and then that trade goes to zero. You blow up your account, and you do it over and over again, and this anger builds up inside of you. And now, I'm not saying not to be emotionless, not to be a person. I mean, we're human. We can't be robots. I mean, like the algos. I mean, sure, you can automate a lot of your process through different platforms if you want, but you have to start understanding what is your strengths and weaknesses, right? You have to start understanding what it is that is on your side when it comes to the market, and then you have to understand what is starting to harm you when it comes to the market. Because most times that you lose or I lose, and I know for me, most times I lose is because of myself. And the number one weakness for me when it comes to a trade is not being patient. I think I'm a pretty patient person, but the market tends to give you a different meaning to patience, right? When we put a trade on, we just want, boom, let's hit it. And sure, it's nice. Sometimes I do hit a trade. Like if I put a trade on, it's ready to go in 5 minutes, hits all my profit targets, man, that feels great. But sometimes when you put a trade on, you're like, wow, this is not going according to plan. This thing is just, I put a trade on, let's say it's Tesla, and then Tesla just starts doing this or something like this. You're like, oh, okay, so you were going up, and then I put the trade on, you decided to go flat on my entry. And then, so for me, like, patience is definitely also, for me, I used to get angry, not so much anymore, but I used to get angry, a long time ago, that when a trade didn't go my way. Or you would also start to be like, okay, I need to get into, maybe I need to know more about the company, maybe I need to know this. And what I found out is simplicity is key. You need to keep it simple. Keep it simple. Like if you're like, oh no, this company is a scam and this is this and that, but the price keeps going up. Like, you have to focus on the price. Sure, the company could be a scam. There's been a lot of companies that turned out to be a scam and their stocks doubled, tripled, or whatever. And that's like GameStop, AMC, for instance. And, we can talk about crypto, Dogecoin, all that stuff. I'm not saying that stuff's a scam. But I'm saying is, why is the price where it is? Does it have some sort of value here? No, the price is whatever the price is going to be. You have to release yourself. Like for me, one weakness that I had was I wanted to know why a certain thing was happening, right? I wanted to know why. Why is this company going up today? Or why is this company going down? Or why is this? And at the end of the day, the market's going to do what the market's going to do. I mean, we've seen companies go up on bad news. We've seen companies go down on great news, and everything in between. We're like, why is it going up? Why is it going down? Why? And the thing is, I've released myself from that burden. You have to start understanding, like, release yourself from the burdens that are dictating your trades. Some people are like, oh man, I didn't make $40 or $100 today. I had a $100 target every day. Listen, if you have a goal for a number of dollars you want to hit every day, there's going to be days that you're not going to hit it, and there's going to be days that it's going to go against you. What happens when you set like a dollar target per day? A lot of times, let's say you're like, oh yeah, if I make $100, I'm making $3K a month or $2,000 a month, and then I could take that. And then when you start doing that, you start getting into a different area of where your trades are going to be dictated from, because now you have a timeline for the amount of money that you want to make. And sure, it's good to have goals, right? It's good to have goals for what you want to do. It's like, okay, I want to double this account. It's good, but you might not want to put a time frame, because the market's going to want to do what the market's going to do. Like, the market could be greatly in your favor and be like, man, you're just hitting trade after trade. There's times I've been like, I haven't had a losing trade in like 20 trades. But then there's times like, man, I need to pull myself back, because if I do one more trade that's red, I am going to flip this table, and I just don't understand. So then you gotta scale back, right? Definitely revenge trading and patience. Yeah, drop them below. Quickly scaling to larger position sizes after a loss. More from houses, finding your setups that work for you 80% of the time and focus on that. Yeah. I agree, Hank. But right now we're here in a self-discovery phase, and a lot of people here, they don't know where they're at. They're just trading what's hot. You're just trading. You don't know who you are as a trader, and a lot of times some people don't even realize who they are as a person. You're like, man, I didn't know that I'm a greedy person. I didn't realize that. Until you really work through it. And, I focus a lot on the mentality, because when I sit down at my desk to trade, I clear my mind. I even texted out and tweeted out, said, okay, come here with a clear mind, whether you're experienced, not experienced, come here with a clear mind and say, let's start over. Let's relax. Let's see what we can do, because we're gonna do some real work here. We're gonna try to discover what our truths are. Like, why are you doing this? What causes you to put a trade on? What causes you to take a trade off for profit or for loss? And, the number one thing is, who are you, right? And before we're about halfway through, and then we're going to do some Q&A. What we're going to be doing tonight, or you're going to be doing tonight, I'm going to send you a self-assessment. And what this self-assessment is going to go through, you're going to ask yourself some questions. It's going to ask you some questions about what type of trader you potentially are, and you're going to come up with some ideas to start understanding what type of risk profile are you in, right? That's what we're going to do. I'm going to send it in after this live stream. I'm going to send this to you through text and through email, and I'll probably drop it in the Facebook group. So if you're in all those, I'm going to send this to you. Fill it out. Kind of start seeing where you are as a trader, to start understanding, because there's more to trading than just pushing buttons and having the stock go up. A lot of it comes down to you as a person. And a lot of people don't know where they are at on the spectrum, or never even thought about it. Like when you go to a job or a profile, you kind of ask yourself, is this something that I can do? Is this something is for me? And we all have to figure out where we are on the spectrum. And then the nice thing about options is, like, if you want like that quick money, maybe you're more of a day trader. You want to focus on that. It's like, oh man, I don't have the patience. I cannot wait a month for a trade to work out. I can't do that. So then maybe you're more on the day trader side. You need to focus on more day trading setups or just swing setups for like tomorrow or this week. But then there's a lot of people who are like, oh man, I cannot handle the amount of risk that when it goes down a little bit, I start freaking out. So maybe you want to have more time. Maybe you're more, I want a month or 6 months or maybe a year. I want to invest in some options for a year and play and trade that way, right? I mean, that's what I love most about options is that there is a strategy for you. There's a strategy for every single person, but you have to understand which strategy works best for you. Like the strategy that you may profit from 90% of the time may not work for me. And my strategy that I profit from 90% of the time may not work for you. Now, I share pretty much everything I do, and I will through this, like what I like to do, just as an example, to have, start building a foundation and start understanding, what I like, and maybe you like it too, maybe you won't, maybe you're like, man, I can't see it. But the number one thing, like a lot of people, especially in 2020, 2021, a lot of people are like, oh man, you're not trading like this, you're doing it wrong. And no, you're not doing it wrong. You're trading for yourself. I'm trading for myself. There's a lot of people that tell me, oh Nick, if you did this, you would have been 10 times more profitable if you did this. And sure, there's always gonna be a woulda, coulda, shoulda, right? Why didn't I invest in Amazon in 1999 or 2000 or 2001 or 2005? Why didn't I invest in Apple when the iPod come out? Why didn't I invest in Bitcoin when it was 11 cents? I mean, there's always gonna be the woulda, coulda, shoulda, and you have to tone off the noise. Like, the biggest mistake a lot of people do is they tell everybody, like, oh, this is what I'm doing, this is what I'm doing. And I know that, like, I'm public with what I'm doing here, but I want to, I could take the heat. I know what works for me because I figured it out before I went on YouTube, and I know what doesn't work for me. And honestly, like, when you're in the market, it's constantly evolving. You're constantly changing. You're constantly evolving. You're constantly changing. And the trader I was 2 years ago, I'm not really the trader I am. And you're always evolving. You're always evolving, trying to get better at this craft. Like, I'm still learning here too. I want to be better. And you always should be. I mean, if you're a golfer or you play basketball or whatever the craft, if you're an artist, you don't want to be like, oh, I'm gonna plateau here. No, you always want to get better, and that's the nice thing about trading. Different variables. There's always something to figure out. Different companies. Always an IPO or something new, something fresh, or different circumstances that you need to feel like, okay, what do I need to figure out here? What do I want to do? What trades do I like here? What don't I like? And that's what I like about trading for myself, is that there's so much that you can do, that it's kind of like options are the Lego blocks, and you can build anything that you want to build. And for me, I love it. And that's what I like to do. I mean, I like coming on here talking about the market. I like sharing my experiences with you. I like, everything that has to do about the market. And sure, yes, I do have red days. Sure, I do have red weeks, and it is what it is. And that's part of trading, but you have to understand how to cope with that. Start learning how to cope with that. But what a lot of people do is, as soon as it gets hard, they tune out and be like, oh, must not be for me. Sometimes you don't realize how close you are to the reward and you just quit. Like, maybe you were like, man, you were really close to figuring out who you were as a trader, and then you quit. And one of the things that I've learned through trading is it's not going to be easy, but anything's not easy. I mean, you go to work, that's not going to be easy. Would you rather sit here at your desk and make some bad trades, or commute on the train every day downtown Chicago or wherever and sit in a cubicle 9 to 5 or even later, and then have to go to an after work event? You'd be like, well, guys, I just hung out with you for 8 hours. Now I have to go to a required mandatory after hours event to talk to you more, and then I get home, everyone's sleeping, and I do it again tomorrow. Like, what's harder? Learning how to trade, do something like that to build an extra stream of income, or sacrificing your lives for a corporation, right? So I would encourage you. I'm going to send you the self-assessment. We're going to go through some Q&A now. Go through the self-assessment tonight. Come tomorrow. We're going to learn some options basics. I just want to leave you with my story, where I found my strengths and weaknesses, why I'm doing it, determine what your why is, right? Why you're doing this. Now let's get into some Q&A and kind of see if anybody has questions for me before we get started, because this week we are going to be going through a lot of different things. We are going to also be giving away a UvH Academy lifetime membership, and we're going to be giving away an iPad Pro this week. We're going to be doing the giveaways on Wednesday and Friday. So just so you know. But I want to open this up to you. I'll get some of the comments right now, see where we're coming in at. We have some people joining us from Facebook right here. If this is your first time coming across me, say what up. I know there's a lot of people that have never heard of us heard before, and I mean, I know we're a small channel, but we're grinding it out. Mental 75% is mental. Hank saying 75% is mental, 20% experience, and 5% just entering trades. I agree with that. Have to be good. Change. The market is always changing. Kathleen, I'll give you a second to type in your questions here. Just want to say thank you so much for doing this. Much appreciated. Yeah, I mean, Miguel. We were talking it over with my team on the back end here, and we're like, right now the market hasn't been on easy mode, right? The market, there's easy mode and not easy mode, and right now the market is definitely, if you've been trading options in this, has been a little bit more difficult. I know today the market was skyrocketing. The market was relatively easy today, but you have to. What's up? First time here, Paulette. How you doing? First time here. Nice, welcome. How did you learn to trade and work full time? What I would do most of the time was screen time, and a lot of the times it's kind of like the Mr. Miyagi approach, the wax on, wax off approach, where you're like, why are you making me do all this stuff, right? Is because before you can get into the work, you need to watch, and like a lot of the things that you need to get accustomed to is screen time. Look at the charts, like, oh, well, how does this guy know this, or how did Nick do this, or how did this guy or this trade? I mean, there's a lot of traders that I look up to and aspire to. I'm like, wow, this guy's on our level. How did he learn that? And most of the time, it's screen time, John. Like, it's screen time. And even like if I'm doing something else, let's say I'm not trading. I'm doing something. I have multiple monitors here. I always have at least one screen that is tracking different stocks that I'm interested in right now. And screen time is like, how do you find those setups? And it's just having that screen time and understanding is like when you go through driver's ed, you have to build up a certain amount of hours before they actually let you operate a vehicle on the road by yourself. Same thing with trading is you have to build up the hours. Unfortunately, what trading is not like driving is where there are a lot of hours you need to accrue. You can't just like come down to the market, click buy, walk away, and hope for the best. Now, you might get lucky a couple times like that, right? But you need to start building up the hours and start understanding that you need to have some screen time. And what I did when I was, working full time and different things is I after hours, when the family was asleep and they were doing whatever they're doing, I would run like through Thinkorswim. There's something called on-demand mode. I would replay the day. Like if you don't have the time to trade right now during the market hours, but you were trying to learn, there's something called on-demand mode, and I'll show this to you later this week. In Thinkorswim, there's on-demand mode where you can actually replay the day and see, okay, how did it, and you can like fast forward it and rewind and start going crazy, and you can go like twice as fast and speed it up or slow it down, whatever you want to do it real time. And you can start trying to trade that way through Thinkorswim on-demand mode and start getting that screen time in. You want to get that screen time in, and this is work. I mean, a lot of people that are probably in this challenge don't realize how much work that you need to put into this. Like for me, I put in a ton of work, even when the market closes. When the market closes, and on the weekends, you gotta look at charts. Just because the market's closed doesn't mean you stop. You don't stop. You keep going. You look at what the trades are. You look at the charts. You start getting the ideas, getting the juices flowing. I usually take off Saturdays because I'll work Fridays, start getting invested into the market Fridays. Even that night, I'll start looking at some of this. I'm like, oh, what did I miss today? Saturday, I kind of take a break, and then Sunday, start getting back into it. And then when futures open, Sunday night, when futures open, I start looking into, okay, what is it that I want to do this week? What are some of the trades that I want to concentrate on? What are some of the stocks I want to look at? Anything news? And that's why one of the things that we put out was every Sunday we put out the impact report with the UvH Academy. Every Sunday we put out the impact report because like, okay, this is what's going to potentially move the market. Not saying it's going to move the market, but I'm always trying to get, and that's why we try to send it out early on Sunday, is try to get the juices flowing, get the ideas flowing, and say, okay, these are the things that are at the top of the list. Let's see what's going on. Maybe there's an opportunity here, maybe there's not, and start just getting the juices flowing. So for John, I hope that answers your question. Get the day job, you'll need the money. It takes time. Since you're taking questions, I'd like to know how you determine your default position size. I know that's different for everyone, but I'd like to know your way of determining it. I mean, essentially, Monica, if you're a new trader, obviously I'm going to recommend paper trading first. But for options trading, you really don't want to go more than 10% of your account on one trade, right? So if you have $1,000 account, you want to keep your position size to $100 in risk. You don't want to exceed that, because I mean, like on one trade, if you blow out 80% of your account, to get back up to where you were before, you're going to have to make hundreds of percent to grind back up, which is probably not probable, right? But if you lose 10% of your account, take a step back, concentrate. If you lose another 10%, then you lost 20%. You got to pump the brakes and say, okay, I just lost 20%. What do I need to do here? What do I got to do? Jeff, chart reading and trading view. Yeah. Wednesday, session 3. Jeff, we're going to be doing the chart reading. The juices are definitely flowing. I'm new at this, wondering what's the best time of day to check your options. I'm going back to work. Can't check all day. I mean, also John and Sandy, what definitely helps if you're trading, or if you're trading and you have options on or positions on, set alerts up if you're using Thinkorswim or Tastyworks. I know Robinhood doesn't have alerts. You can do it. Webull does. Set up alerts. So like you could set up alerts. Like let's say if I know that I'm going to be busy and I have some trades going and I want to swing them, but let's say I'm going to be busy the next day. What I'll do is I'll set some alerts saying, hey, if SPY gets below this price, or whatever stock I'm in, if Apple gets below this price, send me an alert so I can check my phone. You can pre-program all this stuff at night or whenever you have time during your lunch break. You're like, oh man, this trade may look a little dicey. You could set alerts. You don't have to set stops or anything if you don't want to. I mean, you can, but you could set alerts saying, okay, if Apple, let's say if I'm looking at Apple, if Apple goes to 115, maybe send me an alert. Maybe, and I'll put a little note in there, like maybe like time to buy or something like that, or hey, get out, or be careful. I try to send a note because what I'll do is I'll research a bunch of different Robin trash. I'll research a bunch of different stocks, and then I'll set alerts saying, okay, because you can't be everywhere at one time. But what you can do is you could do like I said, like if you did research Sunday night, and then you started setting alerts up saying, okay, these are the stocks I'm looking at. You could do the research, mark on the chart where you want the price to go, or if you're concerned about a price, make a note on that alert. And then when it alerts you, you get a notification on your phone saying, oh, Apple, time to buy. Okay, sounds good. And then you'll go through That's the way you could save time while trading, while you have a full-time job. But the thing is, you're going to have to work for this. You're going to have to put in time after hours. It's not going to come easy. It's not going to be free. You're going to have to put the time in. I'm sure after a long day of work, the last thing that you want to do is power up the chart. Maybe you do, but some people take a little break, eat some dinner, come back refreshed. Take the Gary Vee approach, right? The Gary Vee approach is, hey, you can bootstrap your dream, work the job, but you're gonna have to put in a little bit more time than everybody else to get to where you want to go, right? That's what Elon Musk has even says. Like, hey, if you're working 40 hours a week, it's gonna take you twice as long than Elon Musk, who's working 100 and 120 hours a week. If you're working 100 hours a week, you're gonna get there twice as fast as the next guy, right? Audio, thank you, man. I think for options, figure out price targets on the charts. Got to stick to trading positions off. Calculate the values roughly. Help me a lot when not watching. I agree with you, Hank. Dut Patel. How long did it take you to become consistent? It took me close to 3 years, and this is why I concentrate so much on this in the front end. It's not that I didn't know how to trade, it's that I didn't know how to control myself. It's like once I discovered that, I was able to be consistent a lot more frequently and a lot quicker. And then when you start losing track of yourself and you start accumulating some losses, you have the discipline to step back and say, okay, I'm doing something wrong, or I'm trading something wrong. What's going on here? Don't get angry. This is business. When you're trading, it's a business transaction. You're looking to buy something for lower and sell it for higher. Or, if you're short, that's a different story. But you get the idea. You're looking to buy something and then sell it to somebody else for a profit. And that's a business transaction. There's nothing more about it than that. It's a business transaction. But it's us that get emotional about it and get angry. It's like, man, I can't believe on battery day they broke, or on Tesla Cybertruck day they broke the windows to the Cybertruck. I never would have guessed that, right? And people got so angry because they're riding up six figures. They'll throw in six figures, like, oh, Tesla's revealing the Cybertruck event. They're doing it. It's going to be great for the stock. And then, as soon as I saw him I didn't risk that much. I think I risked maybe like $300, $400 on it. He threw the metal ball at the Cybertruck, shattered the window. I'm like, I knew that trade was done. Yeah, Keith would still make that trade again. Yeah, I still can't. I can't believe that happened. But at the same time, that's the market. Like, crazy things are going to happen. Things that you don't think will ever happen. It's like, oh, I have this position on, and there's a major recall. Like Peloton, they had a major recall of treadmills. It's just what it is. You have to get used to that. Like, not getting angry, and that's also a good reason not to over leverage yourself. Like, you don't want to be all in on a trade, and then overnight they post some news that tanks the stock and cuts it in half. I've seen stocks get in like FBI probes that went from $100 to $5 a share. There's been some crazy things that happen in the market. Tesla is one of them. But there's some crazy things that happen in the market. We could literally wake up tomorrow and, Elon Musk could be in jail in Guatemala or someplace, and Tesla stock tanks. Like, we have no idea. That's why you have to play, like you're saying, Joe. Be defensive, take it easy, and don't go all in. Don't go all in. How do you calculate a target price? For example, let's say that I want to take profit at 7% stock gain. How does that translate into option price? Monica, we're gonna cover option basics. We're gonna cover that tomorrow. If you guys missed the intro, what we're gonna be covering tomorrow let me get over here. Tomorrow's going to be options basics to do a quick recap. Then we're going to do charting basics day 3 Wednesday. Day 4 we're going to be talking about multi-leg strategies, intro to advanced option strategies, so multi-legs, iron condors, that type of thing. And then we're going to be on Friday, we're going to be putting it all together. And like I said, the giveaways we're going to be doing live on Wednesday and on Friday. So got a few more minutes here, got a couple more minutes. I mean, today's session is going to be a little bit on the shorter end. I'm thinking that tomorrow and Wednesday and Thursday probably going to be the sessions are going to be a little bit longer because there's a lot of information that we have to cover. So a few more minutes, I'll take some questions. Other than that, I'll let you guys enjoy your Monday, and then if you I will be sending out the self-assessment and do that for tomorrow so we can start working on this together. Monica's looking forward to learning. Carmine, you're welcome. And then if you ever wanted to if you guys want to rewatch these, replay these like later tonight, we will have these sessions available for a week or two after this event. Don't overtrade either though. The best thing you probably did was kiss that $300 goodbye. I need to get better on that. Jeff, appreciate it. Richard, can you incorporate what strategy should be used in what case, how to judge it? Yeah, Richard, we'll be covering that on the option basics and kind of going over, and also more of the advanced strategies, when to use certain strategies. Because I know with options, it's definitely a lot, because like when you buy stock, like if you buy stock, for instance, and you buy, let's say, one share, the stock either goes up or down. But for options, there's a lot of different variables at play, right, that impact your trade, whether you make money. It's like, hey, you might have been at the right place at the right time, but sorry, you chose the wrong option strategy. You actually ended up losing money. Everybody else made money, and then you're like, man, how did I lose money on this? It's because you chose the wrong strategy. What's the best amount? To start with? Bernardo, I'll be going in depth on that on Friday. But if you're new, you want to probably be around the $2,000 to $5,000 mark and really control that. Now, if you have out of control losses, I mean, obviously you want a paper trade. But if you're new trader, $2,000 to $5,000 is a good place to start. Yi Chen, yes, it's going to be 4 p.m. Eastern every day. I will have the stream running a little bit beforehand to start things off, but yeah, 4 p.m. Eastern every day. Strategy perfectly, always choosing the wrong one. Yeah, well, Danny, we're gonna work through it. We're gonna work through it as a community here. We'll have to figure that out. Be interesting. Thank you, Nick, and whoever else helped put this up. Yo, Matt, appreciate you. How do I know when to hold longer term? Okay, good question. Good question, Kathleen. I mean, you really have to start, and we'll be going through this tomorrow, is I start identifying what your profit and loss targets actually are. So you guys have a great rest of the day, girls. Thank you so much for hanging out. This was the very first session. We're gonna have a great week, and I at the end of this, I mean, I hope that I've impacted you in some positive way, and that you're better at trading and better as a person after this challenge. And I'll be sending over the self-assessment. So you guys have a great rest of your day. As always, stay safe, stay green. It's us versus herd.